Good morning, fellas. Last night I had a brilliant idea. You see, I've always struggled with making friends throughout my life, and I think I finally know the reason for that. All the people I've met up until this point just simply did not meet my high expectations. It's not easy being perfect. I heard there's this show called Friends that is incredibly popular, and since I haven't seen a single episode, I somehow know I want a friendship that is exactly like that. So out of my immeasurable goodwill, I decided to give a lucky person the chance of calling himself friends with me. You may wonder how I plan to do that. Glad you didn't ask. I set up a contest called Are You Acceptable Enough to Be Friends with P, and unsurprisingly, a lot of weirdos signed up. We have contestants from a variety of different backgrounds. Some have no brain activity, others are simply annoying, some are outright clowns that don't belong to a specific circus, but we don't judge over here. They must prove themselves worthy of my presence, or otherwise they'll end up losing their pathetic lives. The stakes couldn't be much higher. And since I finally reached puberty and can finally leave the house alone, what do you say about a little trip to a famous exhibition? With the king of puppets now permanently disabled, the remaining puppets lost their will to live. Seeing them like this made me emotional, and I knew I had to do something to cure them. So I searched on Google the best way to deal with depression, and apparently, death is the most viable one. Now I'm no doctor, but they look cured to me. I swiftly reached the arcade and I was introduced to some very rude and mean customers that lost their ability to talk calmly. I know sometimes we're supposed to be the better person in such situations and we should be more forgiving, but my vocabulary is limited to a few words, and forgiving ain't among them. As I reached the Grand Exhibition Plaza, the security guards quickly understood they cannot stop me for long, and so they asked for help from my arch nemesis, the "you cannot open this from here" message. I may fear no puppet, but that thing, it scares me. But you know the old saying, when a door closes, a window opens, and in my situation, the window happened to be a very conveniently placed cable car. Who's laughing now? In no time I was inside the gallery, and as I was fighting to not get lobotomized myself, I accidentally dropped alongside a peculiar character. She claimed her name was Belle and that she needed rescuing, and I foolishly accepted. I'm happy we found one character from the old fairy tale. Now, we just need to find Belle. But enough dealing with unimportant things for the day. We have a contestant to see. Everyone, it's with great pleasure I introduce you all to Champion Victor. If you by any chance believe our friend is an actual champion, you would actually be correct. There's titles and rewards for a variety of different reasons and motives, and I strongly believe dying is something to be proud of. He did not leave me impressed with his skill, and just as he was about to profess his desire to become my servant, all of a sudden a spear parted right inside his chest. This always happens to me. The culprit behind this unpleasant intrusion was none other than our dear Simon. He proceeded to infodom me with a lot of uninteresting stuff, but all I could think about at that moment was to whom I shall give the red buzzer first. He was kind enough to suck up to me and invite me on his island, but I strongly refused, because as we all know, only great things happen on private islands. But enough side questing around. Our next contestant is eagerly anticipating our arrival, and presumably to impress, he even prepared for us a nice mud bath. Heading towards the next area, I could faintly hear circus music playing close by, and indeed, the clowns were back in town. Apparently, the black cat is losing his eyesight to a terrible illness, and they kindly asked me if I can spare some gold coin fruit so he can be cured. Hearing that saddened me a bit, and like the loving individual that I am, I grabbed his shoulder and looked deep within his eyes, and told him that ears are a viable alternative. I received a weird pop-up message that said they will remember this, but I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. Eventually, I reached the barren swamps, and as I started harvesting the souls of the local residents, I was shocked to meet a familiar face once again, one of our dear and beloved Bob. You know, as individuals we're supposed to evolve and become better as time progresses, and I'm pleased to announce that Bob went through a very similar process. He became an even bigger piece of shit. At the shockingly fast rate he's growing, soon enough he may become an entire cesspool. Is an evolution a beautiful thing? Proceeding further, I eventually reached Aldevara, and he awaited me to help him cross the bridge, like the good Bob he is. However, as he opened his mouth, he asked me to eliminate our next contestant prematurely, without a specific reason, and for a brief moment, euthanasia didn't seem like such a bad idea. Peter, I know you're watching, and I'm obviously joking. Now can you please close your eyes? After bathing for a while in the beautiful waters that belong to the swamps, I noticed a glowing puppet, and as I approached, he kindly asked me to teach him about human emotions. Now, I don't mean to brag or anything, but seeing just how wide my emotional variety is, and how well I respond to all types of emotions, I don't think there's anyone better suited than me for this specific task. Thank you for the trust you placed in me, broken puppet. you definitely won't regret it. All of a sudden I felt my body getting hotter than how it usually is, and I felt the need to go and get a checkup. Luck has it that the swamps actually house a very renowned doctor, none other than Dr. Owl. He proceeded to do a thorough examination of my vitals and concluded that there actually are no vitals. He prescribed that my treatment should be composed of 1 or 2 limbs cut, a healthy dose of blood pouring out of me, and last but not least, the warm embrace of living death. Something tells me he's not actually a real doctor, and it's a pity that there's no one left to confirm or deny that. I could feel our next contestant getting ready to impress us, but right before I could reach him, I was distracted by a stray puppy. He introduced himself as being Hugo and admitted to being a huge fan of Aldevara, so much so in fact that he wants to break into his cave and go through his stuff. Such a devoted fan. Apparently there are some rumors going around about Aldevara that he's actually a criminal, and there's even a wanted poster of him, but honestly, I'm not buying any of this, and I strongly suspect the cats are behind it. But now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you have all been waiting for. Let's give a round of applause to the puppet devouring monster. He may appear to be a ferocious beast, but actually he's just a big softie that sometimes plays a bit too rough. But unlike Victor, he actually has a variety of useful skills to show off. He can run better than Usain Bolt, he can dig holes faster than a mole, he can even slap you like a true professional, and he can even evolve like a Pokemon. A promising contestant indeed. I was so impressed by his ability to constantly destroy me that I just had to share this beautiful moment with someone, and I invited our beloved Steven to join us. Steven was left in a state of shock after witnessing his potential, and he made a choice that no one saw coming.
This is what I'm gonna do for you because I love you.
Congratulations, sweetie pie, you deserve it. Unfortunately, this concludes our search for a suitable friend for today, because if I keep editing this video, my 8GB of RAM MacBook Air might spontaneously combust, and we don't want that. There are more contestants to come, but until we can meet them, you can feast your eyes on my previous videos.